Members and guests, Sanjeev Gandhi was appointed Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Orica in March 2021, after having previously held the role of Orica's Group Executive and President of Australia, Pacific and Asia from July 2020. Headquartered in Melbourne, Australia, Orica is one of the world's leading and mining infrastructure solutions providers. Operating for nearly 150 years, today Orica's 12,000 plus global workforce supports customers across surface and underground mines, quarry, construction and oil and gas operations in over 100 countries. Prior to joining Orica, Sanjeev put his Bachelor in Chemistry Engineering and Masters in Business Administration to good use, spending 26 years with BASF, a leading global chemical company operating in almost every sector and country across the world. During his time at BASF, Sanjeev led teams across product management, operations and marketing, and he worked in jurisdictions such as India, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and the company's German headquarters. A member of the Board of Executive Directors, Head of Asia Pacific and Head of the Global Chemicals segment, Sanjeev led a workforce of more than 18,500 people across 19 countries, 125 production sites and 140 sales offices. Today, Sanjeev and his team at Orica are committed to creating a safer, more sustainable and productive industry for us all, while enabling and facilitating the transition to a lower carbon future. Members and guests, please welcome Sanjeev Gandhi to the Melbourne Mining Club.
Thank you, John, for that very kind introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I understand the food was excellent. No wonder all of you are here, but it's good to see you all here. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners and custodians of the land on which this event is being held, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to Aboriginal elders from other communities who may be attending today. I would also like to acknowledge our distinguished guests who are here today. Having spent over 30 years in the global chemical industry, I've been extremely impressed by the Australian resource industry since joining Orica 3 years ago when I came to Australia. The industry's resilience, innovative power, and ever-increasing collaborative approach to technology development, enabling our industry to ride the cycles, ensuring global competitiveness, and delivering sustainable solutions. The significant and sustained contribution of the resource industry to the Australian economy, evidenced by the record tax revenues from the resource industry, enabling the federal government to deliver its first budget surplus in 15 years. Finally, our collective ability to deliver the world's energy and resource needs today while enabling the required energy transition tomorrow. This is an exciting time to be part of our industry as the world looks to solve one of its greatest challenges, climate change. The last few years have seen unprecedented global volatility, creating both challenges and opportunities that impact how we deliver and create value as an industry. As mining conditions grow more complex, demand for automated, digital, and AI-based solutions that improve ore body understanding and enhance safety, productivity, and sustainability outcomes across the mining value chain is rising. At Orica, we are proud to be playing a critical role in supporting our customers in that quest. Inflation has emerged as a key driver of volatility and uncertainty for the global economy, and it is here to stay. We must prioritize productivity initiatives to mitigate inflationary impacts, and this needs to be supported by effective monetary policies and targeted government funding, balanced labor relations, and tax incentives for innovation, R&D, and rapid adoption of digital and automated technologies. Investment in infrastructure to facilitate an orderly energy transition is critical to ensuring the Australian economy remains resilient. It's encouraging to hear that some Australian companies may benefit from the US Inflation Reduction Act pledge based on the recent bilateral discussions. This, on top of the $2 billion Hydrogen Head Start program, is a great start, but it's clear that much more needs to be done. Geopolitical uncertainties continue to be a risk for the global economy and for our industry. Orica's focus is to make our global manufacturing and supply network as resilient as possible. In Australia, this means sustaining our domestic manufacturing facilities, which produce critical inputs for the resource industry and the agriculture industry. As the world continues to move towards a carbon-neutral future, the demand for critical minerals will grow, and exploration and production of these commodities will need to increase at pace. Energy markets have been disrupted severely by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, leading many countries to continue to rely on thermal coal and gas as a key part of their energy mix. Australia is blessed with an abundance of natural gas. It is an important transition fuel and a key input into domestic manufacturing as the economy continues to decarbonize. For Orica, natural gas is a critical feedstock, a raw material, used to manufacture crucial products for the resource industry and the agriculture industry. We welcome the ongoing government consultation process and future gas strategy, and we will continue to engage constructively with gas producers and the government on how best to ensure both reliable supply and competitive and sustainable pricing for domestic industry. This is essential to reassure the industry that Australia remains an attractive destination for investment and capital allocation. Alongside climate, biodiversity, other environmental concerns and social issues such as the right of Indigenous peoples, diversity, equity and inclusion, and worker well-being are poised to remain in the spotlight. But by far, the biggest trend impacting our industry today is the climate change and decarbonization initiatives. According to McKinsey, the transformation of the global economy needed to achieve net zero emissions by 2050 is both universal and significant, requiring $9.2 trillion in annual average spending on physical assets, $3.5 trillion more than what we spend today. To put that in perspective, that increase is equivalent to half of global corporate profits and 1/4 of total global tax revenue as of 2020. What does that mean for our industry? The scale of investment and resources required to support the transition is significant. The pace of exploration needs to accelerate, and extraction needs to be done more sustainably. Both innovation and collaboration will be critical to achieving this. It's a great time to be in this industry. We are at the core of the energy transition. This WoodMac graph shows the uncommitted supply required to meet 2030 demand as a percentage of the market mapped against the current trajectory in dark shades and a net zero scenario in light shades. We can see the vast deltas on these critical metals required on the current trajectory, let alone in line with a net zero scenario. I applaud the government's Critical Minerals International Partnership Scheme to secure strategic and commercial partnerships, but I'm sure we all agree here that much more needs to be done. Let me break this graph down a little further for you. Looking to the far left, there's significant growth forecast in battery raw materials such as cobalt, lithium, and graphite. In base metals, the delta on nickel and copper are prominent. Demand for copper is expected to double by 2050, perhaps earlier. We have seen substantial growth in copper in recent years, but supply remains a significant challenge. We are seeing lower recoveries and grade declines as brownfield expansion continues to be favored over greenfield development. It takes roughly 10 years to get greenfield copper mines from feasibility into operations. Both brownfield and greenfield copper development presents a significant opportunity for our industry, and technology will play a pivotal role in locating and extracting these resources more efficiently and responsibly. Global thermal coal production is expected to decline by 40% by 2040. For Australia, we do expect export growth to outpace domestic decline. Gold will likely continue to be a safe haven asset over the next couple of years as volatility in the global geopolitical environment and economy remains. And finally, global infrastructure, quarrying and construction continue to grow, linked to infrastructure investments and industrialization in the developing world. Large government-committed infrastructure programs include the $1.35 trillion Infrastructure Development Fund in India and the $1 trillion infra bill in the US. All of this will support growth. As we consider our industry's future today, I firmly believe each of us here plays a vital role in tackling climate change. Together, we must champion the global energy transition, utilizing our collective experience, intelligence, technology, and tenacity to accelerate the transition towards a net zero future. So what are we doing at Orica to support this and enable the broader climate change agenda? Our purpose is to sustainably mobilize the Earth's resources. Put simply, how can we help our customers responsibly extract the resources critical to supporting a better future for all of us? Upstream from blasting, we are helping our customers better understand their ore bodies in real time to drive more informed decisions downstream. Our newly acquired ore body intelligence solutions in Axis can help accelerate the exploratory phase with increased precision and certainty that our industry needs. Our ore body intelligence offering with Rhino and DrillMax can also support brownfield expansions and exploitation by delivering accurate knowledge of the ore body to identify and optimize the extraction process, reducing energy, water, and resources required to maximize output. Customers can combine this intimate knowledge of the ore body with a 4D bulk explosives technology to match the rock conditions within a blast, ensuring optimal energy utilization and blast outcomes while reducing overall cost and improving recovery of ore, meaning better exploitation of existing resources. We've recently released Fortis Protect, a premium explosive system that reduces nitrate leaching risk in surface blasting. It's currently being used by De Beers Canada in remote northern Canada. And our unique cyclo processing system enables circularity by recycling used oil directly on site. The modular relocatable technology reduces mine site fuel demand, delivering up to a 30% reduction in total explosives fuel cost and up to 50% reduction in diesel consumption for explosives. By deploying this technology on site, customers can simultaneously reduce waste and greenhouse gas emissions. When it comes to improving mining efficiency, safety, and recovery, few technologies are having as big as an impact as WebGen, our world-first and patented wireless initiating system. We can now physically disconnect the blasting and mining processes, allowing mining to occur independently of the blast. This has been especially beneficial for underground mining, where the stope extraction process can now be optimized to improve recoveries by up to 20% and reduce dilution by up to 10%. Resulting in more ore extracted with the same mining intensity and less waste. WebGen is also a critical enabler for progressing the first stages of automated blasting with Avatel, which is the world's first mechanized development charging system developed in partnership with Epiroc. In December, we fired the first ever mechanized wireless development blast in the history of underground mining. And just last week, we fired the first Australian shot at New Cascadia. The technology allows a single operator to locate, clean, prime, and load bulk explosives and our wireless initiating systems from the safety of an enclosed cabin, several meters from the face and out of harm's way. Orica is also offering innovative digital blasting solutions like OrePro 3D, BlastIQ, and FracTrack, which are helping to increase efficiency and reduce our customers' operational footprint. Downstream, our focus on post-blast measurement and monitoring solutions provides insights into blast outcomes and quantifies the impact on its subsequent stages. Our ground probe technology provides real-time monitoring and alerts to customers of pending wall or dam failures through its geotechnical monitoring solutions and 24/7 remote monitoring hubs, keeping our people, communities, cultural heritage, and assets safe. We are also leveraging cloud-based software platforms like Design for Outcome and Integrated Extraction Simulator to help customers reduce the use of energy and water through simulation, optimization, and machine learning across the value chain. When miners can measure the value of their decisions, they can start to close the continuous improvement loop to further drive safety, productivity, and sustainability outcomes. I'd like to play a short video now showcasing our newly established Orica Digital Solutions vertical that demonstrates how we are supporting our customers across the mining value chain, from exploration to processing. We share the goal of reducing industrial emissions as soon as possible and are accelerating the decarbonization of our own operations and building climate resilience towards achieving our ambition of net zero emissions by 2050. I'm extremely pleased with our ongoing process in reducing our own direct greenhouse gas emissions. Last year, we implemented abatement technology at our Carseland site in Canada, achieving a 95% reduction of emissions. This technology is now being installed at our Kooragang Island facility in New South Wales in Australia and is expected to reduce the site's total emissions by around 48%, and Australia's total chemical industry process emissions by 11%. This is very material. The safeguard mechanism reforms passed in the Australian Parliament this year have brought renewed policy confidence and investment certainty for Orica in our decarbonisation plans, and we commend the government's consultative approach and commitment to making this scheme work. We are now planning to deploy the same technology at our Yarwun manufacturing facility in Queensland, which is expected to reduce our carbon dioxide equivalent emissions by around 200,000 tonnes in addition per annum. This represents a real abatement and decarbonisation on site, having already delivered a net 14% reduction in our overall emissions since 2019. More importantly, this is enabling us to produce low carbon intensity ammonia and ammonium nitrate products and solutions, helping to reduce our customers' Scope 3 emission profiles. This demonstrates that with the right policy settings and corporate commitments, emission reduction is possible in hard to abate and expensive to abate industries. We've also committed to globally sourcing 100% renewable electricity by 2040 and a 2030 goal of sourcing 60% renewable electricity. We signed our first power purchase agreement with Lightsource BP for renewable electricity across our New South Wales operations last year. Tackling the remaining material portion of our greenhouse gas emissions requires a low-carbon alternative feedstock for ammonia manufacturing, most likely to come in the form of renewable hydrogen to replace the natural gas feedstocks used today. Government support like the Hydrogen Head Start program is crucial to defining the opportunities and ways we can accelerate Australia's renewable hydrogen industry and contribute to the government's target of up to 1 gigawatt of electrolyzer capacity by 2030. We formed critical hydrogen hub partnerships with Origin Energy and the hydrogen utility to develop future renewable hydrogen and ammonia opportunities in Australia, ensuring our manufacturing facilities remain competitive in a low-carbon economy, while also strengthening Australia's domestic manufacturing capability and future-proofing regional jobs and economies. Developing hydrogen hubs adjacent to our existing operations in Newcastle and Gladstone with direct access to deep-water ports, plus the ambition of an Australian renewable hydrogen industry with export capability is now within reach. We believe our partnership with Origin on the Hunter Valley Hydrogen Hub in Newcastle provides one of the fastest routes to establishing an Australian renewable hydrogen industry with export potential. Our Kooragang Island manufacturing plant in Newcastle is the only ammonia plant operating on the East Coast with deep water port access. Ammonia, which does not emit CO2 when burnt, is expected to become a future fuel as it contains properties ideally suited to the hydrogen economy. What is required now is targeted government funding, allocation to assist businesses and industry in this transition, as well as to realize the benefits of a domestic renewable hydrogen economy. We would like to see the government invest and subsidize hydrogen production in credible projects rather than playing the entire field. This will give Australia the best chance to establish a robust domestic renewable hydrogen industry with exports and global scale. We are also optimizing resource use through circularity, with startup and commercial initiatives creating value from waste. We have partnered with high-purity alumina producer Alpha HPA in Queensland to support low-carbon technologies for lithium-ion batteries and LED lighting. This underlines our desire to grow our exposure in future-facing industries and critical minerals, including e-mobility, while leveraging a strong global manufacturing asset base and supporting the broader transition. Another example is our long-term joint venture partner EmCee Carbon, as they drive their carbon capture, utilization, and storage technology towards the commercial manufacturing of building products from direct CO2 capture from industrial processes. Construction is expected to start this year on a demonstration-scale mineral carbonation plant at our manufacturing facility in Kooragang Island. The plant will have direct access to captured CO2 from our manufacturing operations and is scheduled for completion in 2024. Orica has had a long history of participating in carbon markets, which is particularly evident in both our Canadian and Australian operating jurisdictions, where we are fortunate to be on the supply side of the carbon market. For complex organizations like Orica and the broader resource industry, there will be hard-to-abate processes where cost or technology hurdles to avoid emissions cannot be easily overcome. Hence, compensating emissions via carbon credits will be necessary. At the same time, carbon credits will be required for ongoing compliance as emissions regulations tighten, like the safeguard mechanism, and to meet voluntary targets, as well as develop future offerings for our customers looking to reduce their own emission profiles. Another critical consideration for ensuring a robust Australian carbon market while maintaining a competitive advantage is the introduction of a carbon border adjustment mechanism, or CBAM as it's called. A CBAM will ensure a level playing field so that Australian industry is not unfairly competing against imported products from countries with less mature carbon pricing regimes. And it also reduces the risk of carbon leakage out of Australia, whereby manufacturing is offshore to avoid carbon measures in place in Australia. This would jeopardize our sovereign industry. As recent events in Europe demonstrate, energy transition requires careful planning and policy coordination between governments, regulators, energy suppliers, consumers, and the broader private sector. If the pace of change is too fast and creates a risk for reliability or sustainable pricing, then the unintended consequences and socioeconomic disruptions will be significant. Orica and the broader Australian resource industry are good examples of the challenges faced by Australia-based manufacturers and producers in hard-to-abate industries. In the short and the midterm, we confront geopolitical disruptions, inflation, higher wages, labor and skill shortages, and uncertainty in climate and energy policy, adding to the volatility of input costs and fluctuating demand. In the longer term, we must also make investments in decarbonizing our operations and our supply chains, often capital-intensive and very high-risk projects. We will need government support to navigate these challenges. As recent years have so clearly demonstrated, sovereignty over critical supply chains will be increasingly important for Australia in an uncertain and net zero world. There is always much more to do. But by accelerating our approach to decarbonization through low emissions technology and creating innovative solutions that enable the resource industry to fulfill its ESG obligations, we are extremely proud of the role we play in enabling a decarbonized future together with our industry. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Sanjeev. Now on to questions from the floor. If you are asking a question, please wait for the microphones, which are roaming held by Sam as well as Richard. We do ask that you stand so that we can see you, and please state your name and affiliation before posing your question. The first question is just in the middle of the room.
Thank you very much, Sanjeev. Hedley Widdop from Lion Selection Group and a member of the Volunteer Steering Committee of the Melbourne Mining Club, so really appreciate your talk and all the insights. I'm sitting on a table of students who are very future-facing, and I'm sure they'd love to meet you later on. I thought it was interesting, the innovation that you've talked about that Orica is right on the cutting edge of and contributing to the mining industry. I'm also interested that you come from a background slightly outside of the mining industry but overlapping. So the opinion that I'm interested in hearing is, do you think the mining industry is any good at this innovation thing, or are they lagging? Are they leading the world? Be as honest as you can, but Chatham House rules apply.
Thank you for putting me on the spot. Look, I'm not a mining expert, right? I've spent my entire life and career outside Australia in a different industry, but there's a lot to compare and there's a lot to learn from each other. Now, the mining industry obviously had a slower start in terms of modernizing, in terms of the way that we've been operating, because it's been successful. So there's no finger pointing here, but obviously we have today technologies that enable us to get better every day. And this is coming from AI. We all talk about ChatGPT. We do not know what the potential of this will be, but just the simple facts like infrastructure, the 5G enability, all the trucks and delivery systems I have, which operate all across mine sites in more than 400 locations all over the world, are all connected in real time. And we have real-time data, live data that comes through, and it is monitored, and this data is analyzed, shared with our customers, and used. So technology has been a big enabler, helping us to start to modernize the way we operate. The second is clearly the ESG pressures that all of us face in this industry. Right? So in my view, we do not really have a choice but to change the way we operate, to become much more modern, to become much more effective, to become much more efficient, and leave behind a footprint that is much more sustainable. Now, for young students, this is exciting times. Right? This is an industry that is going to enable the transition of this earth towards a more sustainable future, and we need young talent. We need people who are technology trained. We need people who have manufacturing experience. We need, obviously, the mining experts and the geologists. So there'll be a lot of demand in our industry for the traditional skills that the industry has always required, and then we'll have new skills. I have in Brisbane a team of 50 programmers. All they do is code every day. New software, new solutions, new products that we roll out through the cloud to our customers all across the globe. So that's an interesting and exciting new dimension of this business, and the fun part is that our customers love this. They want to collaborate with us. So we're working all the time with our customers to help them to get better and to help Orica to get better. So I would say exciting times. You're in the right place at the right time, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of people lining up to have a chat with you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. The next question is from the middle of the room. Also, if anyone wants to ask a question, raise your hand up really high so that Sam and Richard can spot you. Over to you, Richard.
Richard Shoddy on the organising committee. The industry is in very interesting times at the moment, and one of the challenges that's been facing the industry in general and Orica in particular, I guess, is supply disruptions. Can you sort of comment on how the industry should respond to the interruptions that have been occurring in terms of supply?
Look, I've operated in industry for 33 years now. I've never seen such an unprecedented disruption in supply chains that's happened over the last 2 to 3 years. And obviously our industry got impacted. And on top of supply disruptions, we also had geopolitical issues that came in the way of us operating normally in a business environment. So it's been a perfect storm of challenges that we as industry have faced. Orica is acting and operating in more than 100 jurisdictions all over the world, so we obviously were at the forefront of this challenge. We have a fantastic bunch of people, the Orica family, the Orica team, and they've worked 24/7, 365 the last 2 years to ensure that we manage to reshape our supply chains, to source from different sources, alternative sources, and to ensure that we do not let a customer down. It's been hard work. It's been very expensive to do so because obviously we had a well-oiled, well-established supply chain, and that was totally disrupted. And then on top of that, we were operating in a virtual environment in COVID. So there couldn't have been a more challenging time in the history of business, at least what I have experienced. And I'm very glad that Orica, as well as our industry, has shown a lot of resilience in bouncing back so strongly, despite having gone through the challenges that we have in the last 3 years. Things are now starting to settle down, but the volatility is still there. There's a lot of inflationary pressure coming in through the supply chains, and there are future potential disruptions that could happen that we cannot control. So the only thing that we do in Orica is we focus on what we can control and continue to build resilience. And it's not an easy thing to do.
Thank you, Sanjeev. One more question at the back of the room. Lorraine.
Lorraine Meldrum, Swan Global. The media has a fairly loud voice about the negativity of mining and explosives, not a good combination. How do we get around that? How do we not necessarily make a louder voice, but how can Orica help make a more positive view of the mining industry and explosives, which is what you do and what we do?
Now, that's an outstanding question. Look, the resource industry, the mining industry is critical to enable the global transition of the world into a carbon neutral future. It is something that we take as a very, very serious responsibility because we need to enable that the world is a better place to live in for our future generation, for our children and grandchildren. So that's not a responsibility to take lightly, and we take it very, very seriously. Obviously, we have to look into our own houses and clean up our acts, which we have done to a great extent, and we'll continue to do. As technology helps us, new processes come in, more modernization happens, we get the new skilled folks to join our industry as we expect that they will. And then we need to continue to operate in the most responsible manner we can. And the nature of the business is such that it is a disruptive business. But despite the disruptions that happen during the process, and Orica is a core part of that because we are the ones who release value out of the earth with our blasting tech and everything else we do around that, there are ways of doing this in a more sustainable manner, in a more environmental friendly manner. And in the end, it's important that we are leaving behind a footprint that is not destroying what the earth is giving us. So it's an extreme challenge, it's a fine balance. Now, fortunately, the industry has obviously taken note and realized that things have to get better. They are getting better. What I see on the ground every day, on mine sites, on benches, people are much more conscious about their responsibility in operating in a safe and sustainable manner. And Orica is happy to help wherever we can. Chemistry is a huge enabler. Digital technologies are a huge enabler. And we have today all tools in industry, if our partners are willing to work with us, that we can come in and help and support them.
Thank you. Final two questions from the middle of the room.
Hi, my name's Casey. I'm a student at Monash and the president of the AusIM Melbourne student chapter. So I just had a question about centralizing technology, I guess. So in terms of, I mean, you've proposed technology and supporting a more sustainable future. I guess that's what Orica does. But apart from projects like carbon credits, is there any other role for centralizing agencies to share knowledge between, I guess, around technology? I acknowledge that it's difficult to share and centralize with still being sustainable and economic, but do you think there's any role for any centralization or something like that?
No, absolutely. I mean, look, in the end, this is going to be a collaborative approach. There's no single person or single player in industry responsible for this. It has to be done collaboratively with the R&D folks, with the manufacturing folks, with our customers, with universities and academia. And I can speak for Orica. We do not have a problem sharing knowledge and technology and data. We work and operate on an open platform. So we do have proprietary technologies where we spend a lot of money in R&D to bring this into the markets to support our industry. And obviously, we will defend that very strongly. But everything else around that, we operate on an open platform. So it's an open invitation to everybody in this industry. Come talk to us. We are happy to share our knowledge and experience. We've been doing this for 150 years. So there's a lot of experience and knowledge within the organization and within the industry. And we are learning every day how our customers are operating and how clever and smart the people are on the sites. And we have our own bunch of people who are learning from them. So it's all about collaboration in the end. There is no single solution, and that's why I mentioned in my talk that we need government support, we need support of industry, we need support of the media to get the right message out that we are doing our best here. Nobody intentionally would like to do something that is beyond the values and principles that they live with and work with. So in the end, collaboration is a key here. If we can all get together, put the power of this room and the industry together, great things can happen for us.
Athol White, Bell Potter. I was just wondering why, to me, it seems that most large corporates in Australia continue to delude themselves that the Australian government is friendly to business.
Look, my name is Gandhi, but I'm not a politician. Look, I can speak for Orica, right? I've been in this country for 3 years. I've operated all across the globe. I came out of a German environment. I've operated for a very long time in China, in India, in a lot of emerging markets everywhere in the world. And there's always this inherent conflict between government policies and what industry wants. That's just the nature of the beast. That's how it is. But what I have experienced over the last couple of years, and especially over the last few months here, is that we do have a bunch of folks who are willing to engage and listen in a constructive manner. In the end, they will decide and act as they see fit, but they are asking for feedback, they're asking for inputs. And there is an intention to do the right thing by the economy, for the people of the country. And I find that very refreshing because I haven't seen that in a lot of places. Right? I've engaged a lot, and I was last week or the week before that in Sydney engaging with the Prime Minister of India, and I get that same vibe from him. So there is this little change of mindset here where people are looking at the bigger picture and seeing, is there an opportunity, despite those inherent conflict of interest, to work together? And I go back to my previous comment, without collaboration, we will not succeed. As a country, as an economy, as a world, we will not succeed. We will fail. We will go hit the wall. So it's very, very important that this engagement and the dialogue continues. We see that positive movement now with China. We see that there is engagement, there is China. Orica operates in China. We have people on the ground. We manufacture in China. And there has been a clear change in mindset. That did not happen by chance. So there are quite a few things happening which are good things, and I do hope that this momentum continues forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjeev. You say you're not a politician, but you handled that last question with such tact. I would now like to introduce and invite Andrew Hall, Director and Executive Lead of Advisory within EmCee Consultants, to deliver the vote of thanks to Sanjeev.
Thank you, Janenie, and good afternoon, everyone. It's my great pleasure to give the formal vote of thanks to Sanjeev Gandhi for an insightful, entertaining and timely keynote address. Sanjeev provided great insight into the many challenges and also opportunities we face to achieve carbonisation, but more importantly, how the combined application of forward-thinking, collaboration and innovation will enable a decarbonised future. Another key takeaway is that it's going to take time to transition, and we need to balance the needs of today with those of our future. On behalf of the Melbourne Mining Club and everyone here, we wish you and Orica well in navigating the pathway towards net zero. Please join me in extending a very warm thank you to Sanjeev for a great presentation by showing your appreciation in the usual way. Thank you, Sanjeev.
Sanjeev, it's tradition to